Good afternoon, everyone. As the slide suggests, my name's Jac Hughes, a Scrum Master out of Swindon at the moment. I spent 7 years in the Royal Navy as above water weapons, also known as a gunner. And today, hopefully we're going to learn a bit about flow and how that relates to warships. So going back to 2011, we found ourselves off the coast of Libya. For whatever reason, the United Kingdom decided to get involved. Like I said, we could debate that all afternoon long, but we were there to do a job. I was serving on the mighty F-81, which is a Type 23 frigate based out of Plymouth. At the time, we were in Scotland for a home counties visit. Got the call, you guys have been activated. All 180 ships company got recalled for leave. The captain was on leave at the time. He had to cancel his holiday also. We sailed down to Plymouth, got rearmed, got restocked, through the Bay of Biscay, through the Straits of Gibraltar, and before we knew it, we were in the Mediterranean. On the way down, as you can imagine, we were practicing, exercising for every possible scenario. It was a young ship's company, and for the majority of us, it doesn't get much more real than a wartime scenario on a warship. They don't come about that often. The last wartime scenario was probably the Iraq War, before that, the 1990 Gulf War, and even before that, the Falklands. So as you can imagine, the excitement, the anticipation was building for everyone. It's not a nice thing to tell your family and friends, but at the end of the day, we joined for a purpose, and now that purpose was coming to the forefront. As we sailed down, we went into something called defence watches, which is essentially 6 hours on, 6 hours off. So half the ship will be on watch, going about their daily duties. Half the ship will be eating, sleeping, replenishing, exercising. And the reason why we did 6 on, 6 off is because if the call to action came, we can quickly and efficiently come to action stations. And action stations is a real thing, okay? It's not just something you hear in the films, it is an actual thing. So yeah, basically 6 on, 6 off, half the ship's company is asleep, half awake. If the call to action comes, we can bring the ship to action stations pretty quickly. As with most things, we found out on Sky News that we were going within the 12-mile radius to support HMS Ocean, because they had the Apache helicopters on board. Everyone was in the mess. All right, okay, we're sort of going. And then the captain told us to proceed to action stations. So it's now 11 o'clock. Don't forget, we're still in 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Half the ship's company is currently in bed. That is the call that you'll hear on a warship. As soon as that alarm goes off, the ship enters a natural state of flow. There's no panic, there's no shouting, apart from that very loud alarm, and the hum of machinery. The ship is quiet. Apart from the 1 or 2 acknowledgements as you pass each other on go into your respected station, you know, a nod of acknowledgement, good luck and all that good stuff. You know, we're British, good luck old chap and all that. Apart from that, it's a very quiet place, much like our software engineers and our IT floors. Flow even comes to the forefront when we try and replenish the ship. So when we're in action stations, there's something called action messing, okay? So the premise of it, the thing behind this is you have 7 minutes to go to the galley or the feeding area, eat and get back, all while being encouraged by people up the chain, also known as project managers in our world. Gently encouraged to be as quick as possible and get back to work so you can leave your opposite number. If our teams aren't properly nourished, then morale will go down. And I'm of the belief that if we don't nourish our teams in our line of work now, they're at fear, they're at risk of sinking also. That junior chef becomes part of the support party. That young steward is now part of the damage control team. From the captain to the 17-year-old lad or lady out of training, everyone has a role to play. If the captain goes down, the second in command steps up, and it will continue to go until there's a skeleton crew left. A very extreme example, I know, but everyone on that ship is there to do a job. Bottlenecks on warships don't exist. You will never find a bottleneck or a task that cannot be done on a warship. If someone walks past the fire, do you think they don't extinguish it? Do you think they wait for the fire party to turn up? No. They do what they can until they're relieved by the fire party. They attack it, they call for help, and everyone swarms around it until that fire, flood, anything you can think of that can go wrong on a ship can. They are a self-contained unit, cross-functional, T-shaped individuals in our line of work. It's part of the flow. I believe that the teams we work with should be of the same mindset. Now, I'm not going to stand here and say we should run our teams like warships. That's not what I'm trying to say. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just trying to bring to life a real-life scenario that we can maybe relate. Whip limits, for example. How many times have you had pushback for whip limits within teams? They're there for a reason. A Navy example is when you're fast roping from a helicopter, you throw the rope down, you have two people on the rope at the same time. It makes sense. Any more, it'd be dangerous. Any less, there'd be no one to support you at the bottom. It's just common sense. I'm under no illusion this doesn't happen overnight, but none of us signed up for easy. We, as Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, cat herders, whatever title we've bestowed upon ourselves, love this job, and we're all here for a reason, and that is to help our teams function efficiently and have some fun along the way. I spent a lot of time at sea, probably all in all about 1,100 days away from home. Did I get along with everyone? No. Do we all get along with people we work with now? Probably not. But the point is, we're all there for a common reason. But there's three things that are missing, in my opinion. We have an absence of trust, we have fear, and there's a shortage of accountability. So how do we build trust? Consistency is the key. If we're consistent in our own actions as Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, or anything in between, trust will then be built. If we go in every day with new ideas are great, but if we go in and try and change the team each and every day, we're not being consistent. The team aren't going to trust us. Consistent actions build trust. Now, fear. I hear a lot of fear for Kanban, Agile, Scrum, safe, less. Any more in the room? There's a lot of fear of these frameworks. There is nothing scary about frameworks. There's nothing scary about Agile, or nothing scary about what we're trying to achieve. What is scary is trying to work with a group of people who don't like each other, trust each other, and they don't feel like they're in a safe environment. As coaches, that should be what we're afraid of, and that's what we should be trying to counter. At the end of the day, shipmates are stronger than teams. Like I said, I'm not trying to say we should run them in a military style, but I'm a big fan of shipmates being stronger than teams. That family element, that one community where we can all achieve great things. Shortage of accountability. Again, I'm of the belief that if we build trust, eliminate fear, that whole team will become accountable for each other, okay? If we manage to go in every day with these new, fresh ideas, but not force them upon the team, we're being consistent in our actions, we're going to build the trust. If we show the team a different perspective, of not being fearful of these frameworks and putting labels on everything. At the end of the day, most of these frameworks are all common sense. No one's going in with an agenda. Businesses want to make money. Most of us in this conference, in this room, we just want to build successful teams with relatable human beings. So I've done the easy bit by saying what my world, my view of the world could be. But hopefully, we can start at the beginning. So I've chosen the beginning, a middle, and an end. 3 things, because I believe 3 represents a multitude of things. In reference to today, we're going to start at the beginning. Where's your team currently? When's the last time you all asked yourself that? We get so caught up in trying to do the right rituals, but are we doing them properly? We all know we need to do a sprint planning. We all know a retro is part of the framework, and we all know a sprint review comes at the end of the sprint. But how many times do you hear, either face-to-face or via someone else, that a team member's voice has not been heard during a retrospective? I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like I could show my true feelings. I was worried I was going to get shot down by, not literally, a senior member or the technical lead. One idea, I don't know if you do this, I'm assuming you do, during your one-to-one coaching sessions, invite the team in one by one, ask them to write one word for these 3 things. How do you feel at the moment? How do you think your team feels about you? And how do you think the team is perceived by the business? 3 words. By the time you've had a one-to-one with the whole team, you should have a pretty accurate picture about what's going on. If you've got 10 words and the team's feeling the same, you're going to be able to navigate where you think you can improve. That's creating a safe environment for them to be open and honest, okay? 1 word to describe each of those 3 things. The middle, focus. Everyone knows what focus means. I mean focus in terms of follow one course until successful. Scrum Masters, change agents, Agile coaches. Resilience is probably the biggest key. Resilience and patience. If you've been parachuted into a new team, the management expects quick results, quick wins, low-hanging fruit, all the normal buzzwords that we hear every day. But if we can't follow through on that, if we can't be patient, if we can't celebrate the little wins and use them as our fuel to move forward, then we're never going to get anywhere, in my opinion. If we can't get the basics right, with no matter what framework we're using, we need to follow through on it. There's a lot of talk, LinkedIn's alive with forums, as we all know, debating. I'm not saying that you should be by the book, the Scrum Guide, but if we can't get the basics right, then we're going to be flogging a dead horse. We need to follow one course and measure the tiny bits of success along the way, using them as fuel for the team, and fuel as yourself as the person trying to inspire that change and motivate the team. If you can hang on to the tiniest thing, then the team will really appreciate that. There's a lot of people who are glass half full type of people, and that's fine. But as the individuals in this room and in this conference, if you can get that tiny drop out of that glass, then that's all you need to maybe inspire the team. The continuing end, there's no end to continuous improvement, as we all know. But we need to be holding up the mirror and being accountable to ourselves along the way. People always, the World Cup's on at the moment. England might be 1-0 down at half-time. All the commentators are going to be judging them. Will they be saying the same at the end? The same as sprints. As Scrum Masters and all the other titles I've named today, we need to be constantly shielding that team whilst holding up the mirror and showing the success and showing that our focus and patience and resilience is shining through. Nothing is won at half-time. Nothing's won halfway through the sprint. That's as simple as that, really. We need to hold up the mirror, continue to do so. Another thing could be to write down one thing that you're grateful for every day. There's a lot of gratitude apps out there. One area you want to improve on with the team this week, and most importantly, one area you feel you have improved already, and then use that to build momentum forward. Nothing will ever replace making a cup of tea and sitting down with a notepad and pen. You may not always like what you see when you hold up the mirror. The team might not like it either. But we're all about transparency. It's all about being authentic and showing where the team actually are. No one likes to be, I'm sure that for those of us who are married, no one likes to be called out on their own shortcomings. It's not a nice feeling. Happens to me quite a lot. But, if we can hold up that mirror and move forward, then I think we'll be quite successful. To be honest, the talk was always going to be short. I typed that up. But I think there's real value in Q&A and sharing the experience. So these were just three tools. But I just do want you to ask yourselves, if that alarm went off, and it was mentioned in another talk before about building teams quickly, how would you react? If someone comes to you and says they've got a problem, if someone writes those 3 words down, like I said, in those one-to-one sessions, and they're raising alarms, are you going to sit back, or are you going to move forward, or are you going to sit on the fence? I know what I'd like to think I would do, and I believe you guys can do the same as well. Thank you very much.